So this is going to be my video of me rebuilding this 1998-9 Polaris Xlt 600 engine. So, progress report, I have the rebuild kit right here from SPI. Comes with 3 brand new pistons, all the bushings and whatnot, all the gaskets you could ever ask for. So what I'm gonna work on now is setting these pistons up to be installed, which means I'm gonna do the rings and the pins and bearings, and then I'll put them on my rods here. So SPI included this great direction set here, and it tells you exactly how to install a piston. I already got one installed. I got all the rings on, circlips, rods. Everything's done as the directions say. Tells you your ring gap for size piston and whatnot. I checked that, that's good. I'm gonna video for you guys how to put in this one. Might be a little bit harder because this one's in the way now, but I'll set up the camera so you guys can see exactly how to do it. Okay, so I've set the camera up for you guys here, and you can see this piston. I'll move the directions. I already figured this out. So what we're gonna do is set that there. We're gonna get it ready to install before we actually put it in, which means we're gonna take our little box here. It has our piston rings in it. I'm gonna open it up gently. Take out our piston rings. This is what they'll look like. You need a knife to open these. You can also just use your teeth, gently. So I got my 2 piston rings here. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna find, so these, the bottom sides here have no writing on them. Whereas you can see the top sides say 65mm top. And I think that is there is just the serial number or something, I don't know, but this, you can see it says top, so these go on top like that. You're gonna want to do, start with one side, slowly and gently work your way around, and it should just pop right down on like that. And then to get it down one more, just have your front start like that, and again just work around the piston, and then you'll get to a certain spot, and then this other end should just, bear with me here, should just pop right out and go down. And then do the same thing with the top one. Make sure you got your top of your piston ring on the right side. You're gonna want to find the groove, work your way around, and boom, should pop right down on. And they should move around a bit. This is normal, don't worry about it. But now we have our piston. When I took the motor apart, you should have a little bearing that looks like this, and it should go right in here. It should go right in your rod like that, right? But I'm gonna put a little bit of oil on this real quick. So I'm just gonna have just a little bit of 10W30 motor oil just to lubricate stuff as I'm assembling it, 'cause I don't have any assembly lube. But just go like that, dip your finger in, get it nice and oiled so it turns nicely when everything starts moving. Put that in right there. Yeah. Okay, well, I don't have any paper towels anymore, but these are pants. So what you're gonna want to do now is grab your, don't quote me, I don't know exactly what this is called, but I know what it does. Okay, so we got the camera set up again. This is your circlip. What this does is it goes right, you can see that little groove right in there. It goes right down in there, and that's what keeps your, whatever that thing's called, from sliding out. So it's a lot easier if you install one side first. So it's basically exactly like a piston ring. I'm going to get one side down in the groove there, and this other side I'm just going to work down into my finger. Literally just push it down. I have a tool, this little circlip tool. It helps a lot. You can pull it down, and then it'll slowly work its way around. Come on there. These things are troublesome for many people, myself included. They're not the most fun, but they are what keeps your pistons inside your motor, so they're very, very important. Okay, they have a tendency to launch out like that, which is why, as you can see, I have a piece of cloth down in my crank there, so that way when I'm putting the other one on, it doesn't launch out and land down in my crankshaft, because that would be bad. But let's try this again. My technique, where I seat one side, I push it down in, and then I take my little tool and I pull it down into place. There. And then it should click. Make sure it's seated all the way around. It doesn't look like it's going to come out. So this piston is ready to be installed on the rod. So what I'm going to do now is make sure the little arrow is pointing the same way as the other one, which is toward my pull start side, the opposite of the clutch side. So see that this right here goes right down onto there. And then you can see here the point here, there. Okay, well, it's gonna be difficult for a second. Let me get a better angle for you guys. Okay, so got this bearing on this rod. I'm gonna take my paper towel out of this side. I'm gonna put it down in here. I'm gonna put it on this side, so that way my rod stays up there. It's not in the way. Whoops. So what I've done is I've taken my paper towel out of this side and put it in the middle. And as you can see, I've got my bearing in here on my rod. And I'm going to take the arrow of my piston and make sure it's facing the right direction. And I'm going to make sure it lines up just like that. But I'm going to go from the other side. This is my circlip is installed on that side. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to get it started a little bit. I've got it oiled so it slides easy. There we go. Okay, I pushed it too far. So now the inside of it looks like that. My little bearing goes right down the middle, just like that. Don't move my hand. Just like that. So that way it lines up. It's not what I wanted to happen. There you guys go. So then I'm gonna line it up like so, and then push the pin through. This might not be a good spot, but it's good for you guys. There we go. And you might have to give it a little bit of pressure. That's fine. Just make sure it's not really hard pressure. Should slide somewhat easily. Oil really does help a lot. If you have oil, I would recommend using it. This seems like it's going too hard. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to push my pin back out through. I'm going to see what's holding it in there. If I can push this through there real quick. Okay, maybe not. So, let me just stop this real quick. Okay, I've got it freed up. So now my pin slides right through nice and easy, and you should get it right to the end of your circlip. And then come over to this side here. I'll show you guys this circlip side. You basically just do the same thing you did with the other circlip. This little fella right here, you're gonna wanna start one side. I usually like to start with the bottom. Bottom's easier most of the time. There we go. I have my finger there to hold it. And then we're gonna take my little tool here. Whoops. And we're gonna go right like that, and then you can see it's almost down in there. Just give it one more little nudge with my tool. Boom. And it clips right down in there. And that, folks, is an installed piston. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, and then I'll be back once I have them all done. So that actually went a lot smoother than I anticipated. That took me like literally 15 minutes maybe to install all 3 of these pistons. Rings, all that, circlips, everything's done. So now I am going to have to actually, one thing I didn't show you guys was all the painting stuff I did off camera. So let me show you guys that real quick. And then we'll bring the fresh painted head down here. We'll crack open the gasket kit. We'll put the brand new bottom head gasket in. Throw the head on and see how the pistons slide. Another thing was I went ahead and ordered this piston ring installer. What that does is it presses in all these piston rings while I slide the head down on. It makes my life a lot easier. I'll just show you guys once it happens, but until then I'll show you guys the paint work I did and we'll bring the head down. So what I've been doing upstairs here is I've been putting fresh coats of paint primer on my triple pipes and my head cover. This is my head that we're about to install in a minute. I've covered everything up, all the ports, the tops, everything. And I painted it black with, what I used was I picked this up from Tractor Supply. It is 2000 degree high heat engine paint. I also use that for the pipes. And the head I use red high heat 2000 degree engine paint. And that should hold much better than the original paint that was on it, I hope. But I'll bring this head downstairs and I'll show you guys, we're gonna get to installing it. So this is my head. I'll paint it up. I'm gonna take the tape off this and I'll let you guys see the top here maybe, if I can get it off. There we go. Pretty satisfying. But catch you guys once I have all the tape off. Okay, so I've got my phone set up, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna show you guys this handy dandy little tool here, or we'll see. My little piston ring compressor here. So basically how it works is you take your pliers here. Yeah. Put them right in these little slots here with the holes. You see, you line up the holes with the little prongs on the pliers. This is some like Japanese off-brand stuff I bought on eBay. It should work, but I think I'm gonna have it upside down. Try the other way. Here. Okay, either way it'll work, but basically this just goes like this. Maybe you guys can see here, but you just put it down on over the rings. As you clamp this, your rings compress. Bada bing, bada boom. Put your head down on. As that happens, you let off a little bit so that way it slides down. Actually, what I'm going to do is put some oil around the inside ring of this. So that way it slides easier. Doesn't get caught on anything. Doesn't scratch up my brand new piston walls. And we're gonna start with the tallest piston first, because the head's gonna touch that one first. But actually, before that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna crack into our brand new gasket kit. So what I'm doing here now is I got my big old head gasket that goes right down on here like so. This is the careful part, because we do not want to rip this gasket, because that would be bad, and then we'd have to get a brand new one. So we get a line. Oh God, that is scary. That's scary. Okay. Might have been easier actually to put this gasket on before I installed the pistons, but you'll have that. Here, let me use two hands real quick, and I'll be back after I get this on. I got the gasket all sealed down. Got it on the right way. Lines up everywhere. Now, I'm going to set up my phone again so you guys can watch me use that piston ring compressor and put this head back on. So, I'll catch you guys after I have my phone set up. Actually, why don't I just do that? Boom. You guys can see a good bit. Okay, so now, get all these lined up. All this in here is still oiled. Start with my tallest piston first. I'm gonna sandwich these down. Okay. I wish that was down a bit lower, but not that far down. So what I'm thinking actually is it might be easier to line, see these ring gaps here, to line that up with the opening on my compressor. Okay, so this thing is very heavy. Okay, this is pretty difficult. I might have to switch hands, use my right hand for this. These really need to be lined up, or else this is not going to work out. Why is that all twisted like that? You really need it to be straight. Thank you. Wait, this thing's bent. What? Why is it like that? What? Okay, let's try this again. Okay. Swap to my right hand. This really sucks. Okay. That's sliding down on there. This is not working. Okay, but you guys get the idea. I'll figure it out, but catch you guys back once I have this all done. Or at least one piston in, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like from there. So this part here, this head, I had to line up this cylinder first, then this one, then the middle one, all in firing order, because this one was the highest up, so I did that one first, and then this one was the next, so I slid it on there, and then that one. This took me about an hour. This is not an easy task to do with a monoblock triple, because this block, I don't know how much it weighs, but it's heavy. And you have to line up 3 cylinders without messing up anything. And I know I messed up this gasket a little bit. I didn't mess it up bad. I put one little hole in it. fingers crossed. It should be good. Hoping it's not in an area where anything will get into it bad, but I got all these little bolts here, these studs to nut down, tighten good, and then I've got these domes I got to put on here with the new gaskets, so on. But that was very hard. If you are rebuilding one of these by yourself, I don't know what more tools you could get, but I would recommend having a shop do it because it's terrible. It's not fun. But if you want to do it, you can. I did. It sucked. I don't ever want to do it again. But I'm going to get these domes cleaned off. I'm going to put this big gasket here on top. Put these domes on once I get them cleaned up. And then we'll go from there. So I just realized I probably should have showed you guys, but I got a little bit too carried away and excited about finally getting this head on. But I've got these 3 domes on. I don't have them torqued down yet, but I got the head gasket under there. You can see that little ring right there. That's part of the head gasket. Goes all around this whole top piece. And looks just like this. This is the old one. And just goes right down on there. You might have to have a picture of how it goes. I went back to my previous video and I looked at it to make sure I got these on the right orientation and order. And I do. And now I have to torque these down. I got all these on too. Every single one of these, all 8 of these nuts. On the back side too, there's 4. But I gotta torque these down now. Put the rubber O-rings, these little red O-rings go around the tops here of each spark plug hole. And then put the head cover on. I'll let you guys, and we'll see what that fresh new red paint job looks like on top of this engine. And then it'll be buttoning stuff up like the carb boots, which I have right here, the CDI ignition, oil, pull start, water pump, all that good stuff. And then it'll be ready to drop in and see if I can get my sled to run. Actually, and then obviously basically undo everything we did when we pulled it out, you know, airbox exhaust, stuff like that. But I'll catch you guys after I have these torqued down and I have the valve or the head cover down here. Okay, so I've got all 3 of these torqued down. I've got my fresh looking head cover there. And this thing, if I remember right, actually maybe a certain orientation that it goes. Right, that looks right. Seats right down on there nice, and oh, that thing looks sick. That came out really nice. I hope once it gets hot it stays this nice looking, but we'll just have to find out how my paint job held up. I'm gonna get this bolted down, get the temperature sensor in, and then start doing the extras. One thing I actually almost forgot to do was put all these little, rubber O-rings around the tops. They just seat on like that. And this big rubber, this little thin one here, goes right down in this. You can see the little groove right there. It just slides right down in that groove. See if I can show you guys what I'm talking about here. So it goes down in there like that. You gotta just work it all the way around like so. Should seat down in there fairly easy. Some little grooves on it to keep it there. I'm sorry, I'm bad at taping. get the right spot sometimes. You can just run it right down through. Yeah, you want it to stick up out a little bit. Or actually, I mean quite a bit. So that way it does have really good contact with the surface of the top of the block there, or the head. So that way it seals good and you don't get coolant everywhere. But this is kind of just a long little process here. You just go right around. Yeah, and when you take this apart, make sure you clean that groove out, so that way you can get it to seat down in there properly and good. So you don't want any extra gasket material down there getting in the way. I already cleaned it out when I did the tear down, and I sanded it down for paint. Well, actually, real quick, I'll show you guys what I was using for sanding. So for sanding, I had, well, to clean up a lot of stuff, I had these little wire brushes here. That's also what I used for cleaning up these domes. For sanding, I had, oh, where did it go? It was, all right. Well, I don't know where it was, but it was, had a 200 grit sanding block, sanding foam block that I got, and I had a little blue disc sanding wheel right here. That's pretty rugged, that I put on my drill there. I could go to town pretty quick with that. And then the sanding block I could use for the big areas where I could just take big long strokes. And then like I showed you guys earlier, that paint that I used, I don't know, I'll have to find out if that stuff works good. You'll be able to find out with me, because I don't know. I'm using exactly what it says it's used for, so. There's a little bubble right here at the end. Let me get this figured out. I'm gonna use 2 hands for this, and then get back to you guys after I have that done and on. All right, I've got the cover on. It's all torqued down. All the seals are in. The only gaskets left that I have are these 3 exhaust gaskets and this triangle gasket, which I think they put that on there because I looked all over the place. I looked on the internet. I don't even know what that triangle gasket's for, to be honest. Nothing goes here. Nothing's ever been here. I've looked at plenty of triples in my life, and nothing has ever been there. You can even look on this other head that I have, other head cover. There's literally nothing there. There never was. You can tell. I don't know why there's a gasket for that. Maybe it's an add-on. Couldn't tell you, but that's fine the way it is. It ran without anything there before, so I don't see why you need that. But anyways, now what I'm gonna do is carb boots, exhaust flanges. Probably gonna clean those up. Those are all oil, ignition oil, and yeah, I'll catch you guys back when I have the carb boots and the oil on. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. I'm going to put the coolant, the water pump on first. I feel like that's going to be the easiest thing to put on first. Or, not easy, but, you know, I probably feel like I should put that on first. That goes right here. Let me see if I can just show you guys how that goes on. The pulley goes on the outside, just like this. And actually, I'm going to get the belt real quick, too. This right here is your little belt. Goes right around this pulley. Here, let me get this position for you guys. There you go. Okay, so let's see. There's that little O-ring that goes right there. So this little hole lines right up with that one. It slides right in there nice and firmly. You might have to give it a couple taps. Give it a couple love taps. There, get it properly seated. And then you want to get it twisted enough so that way the bolts line up. You also might have to tap it to do that. might want to put the belt on first, actually. Where did I just put that? Right there. So your belt here, it goes around the bottom. It fits right in that little groove you can see. And yeah, this is gonna have to come off first. Pull this back out. Probably should put the belt on first. And see how it seats in there, that little rubber thing. And just grab the belt here. Put it up around the pulley while it's loose. There, and that'll be a lot easier to mount up. Boom, like that. And your belt just goes right around like that. And then I just have to retap this in there, which I'll let you guys see. There you go. Get it reseated in there. Give it a couple love taps. Make sure it's oriented right. Make sure this thing's twisted up the right direction. Just like that. You're gonna wanna go tap, 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 tap. Couple love taps. Spin it around a little bit. A couple more love taps. That'll seat in there better, but you wanna make sure your belt is tight, but not super tight. These right here are the water pump bolts. Yep, okay. And we're gonna go right in these little slots. There's room for adjustment here, so that way if your belt ever does come loose or tight, or it's too tight or too loose, you can adjust that. But just gonna put these in a little bit tight for now. The nice thing about this motor is that literally pretty much everything is 12 millimeter. So not joking, it's like all the exact same. So I'm gonna want that a little bit tighter. I'm gonna tap this up. You don't want it to be able to slip. I'll torque that down there. That way it can't move. Okay. Whoops. There. Now my water pump should not go anywhere. That's in there. My belt. You want to be able to move it a little bit, but not too much. You don't want it to slip either. You want to spin nice and smooth with your crankshaft. So, now that that's out of the way, once I get to it, I can put this, I can put my recoil back on, and actually I can put my janked up temperature sensor. I don't know, I'm gonna figure out when I put this motor back in where this wires up, because I really need temperature sensor on this thing, because I do not want it to overheat again, because that would be bad. So I'm gonna put this back in real quick, and then I'm gonna, when I put it back in, I'll figure out the wiring, and then I'll catch you guys after I also get the car boots on. Okay, so I've got all the car boots on. I decided to put some washers on them just to spread the surface area more. I probably could use new car boots, but I did a leak test on them and they don't leak anywhere, so they'll be good for now. What I'm gonna do now is probably oil. Oil probably will be the next easiest thing to do, and the ignition last. So yeah, I'll get back to you guys once I have, let's see. Once I have said oil pump installed. Okay, I've got these two screws in here that hold my oil pump in. This is all mounted up and solid. I lined up the thing in there that spins it. I've got every oil line hooked up. 1, 2, 3, and then my fourth one going to my bearing over here. That should be all set now. And now I'm gonna do the ignition, and then that should finish up this side of the engine. Then I'll flip it around, and then I'll start doing the exhaust stuff. So yeah, catch you guys after I get the ignition in. Okay, so I've got all 3 of my coils on. All the plug wires are connected. What I'm gonna do now is actually put my recoil back on. Just gonna plop it right on the side of the engine there. Look something like that. And then I'll flip the motor around and I'll do the exhaust flanges from there. Catch you guys after that. So you guys can see I got my recoil on. The gauge is real nice. I've got these bolts in here. There's 3. 1, 2. And that one doesn't line up. I don't know why. This might not be the motor that's actually made for this recoil, but yeah. Actually, that bolt's right there, but now I'm gonna clean up the exhaust flanges, bolt those up, so that way I can put my pipes on once I drop the motor in. And that's it. I have to put these exhaust flanges, well, I'm gonna clean them up because they're all gunk and oil, but clean them up, put my new gaskets in, bolt them up, and then tomorrow I will drop this motor in and see if I can get it to run. So I'll see you guys after I have these cleaned off, and I'll show you what bolting them up's like. All right, so what I've gone and done now is I've got all these flanges on for my pipes. Got them torqued down with the lock nuts, and that's gonna be a wrap for the engine build. So catch you guys tomorrow when I bring this motor up and I put it in the sled.